Hello and welcome to episode 151 of the Game Pit. The little chuckle was there because whenever we're recording together, Ronan notices me slapping my thighs, which is one of his pet hates.
God damn it, we're going to talk games today,
Gosh
son.
darn it! And yeah, so we after the excitement of the Matthew Jude episodes, we are back to brass tacks with one of our pits.
Don't call me brass tacks. We've talked about this. It's rhyming slang for something. I know.
Have you stopped charging tax?
Brass tacks. I should charge for every lesson I give when I play that game. Simply, I'm terrible at brass. I used to be good. I used to be so good at brass, genuinely, but it's a long, long time ago.
That's when we played like occasional games and stuck to the same one.
Yeah,
now
imagine.
it's like a different. We might come back to brass in a year.
I've played it a couple of times in the past year. I love that game. It's so good.
It is a crack.
See, David Turksey did a 2-player only map based on Isle of Wight. Yeah, I think you can just download it.
Oh, nice.
I could be wrong. I could be lying there, but thanks, David.
Well done, Dave.
Dave to you.
Big Davey T.
They've got. We're going to talk about 8 games we've played, by the way, but we'll just ramble for a bit. Mindclash have got a game coming out next month on Kickstarter.
Ooh,
it's about a luxury cruise liner that crashes onto a desert island, and you've got to establish a camp because you're getting attacked by the dinosaurs that live there.
Fantastic.
It's 4 episodes to it, but it's not like they don't necessarily link up, but they can affect the next game. And this is the first 2, and the other 2 will be available, and it's all a big hoo-ha.
Ooh.
There's about 98 designers of it.
I'm sure Big Davey T's part of it.
Davey T's there. Anthony Halgogo's there as well. We know him.
Very good.
And other people. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure that.
Speaking of Kickstarter, you sniffing at anything, Ronan?
Oh, we flip reversing. We usually do this at the end.
Let's flip reverse.
You jumped on me.
I have.
All right. Maybe we should do the reviews and then do it.
All right. I don't upset you too much.
People don't like Kickstarter are going to be like, oh, I'll turn off now. I'm not listening to you idiots.
Who doesn't like Kickstarter?
Some people don't like Kickstarter. They don't like spending money on a game that's probably going to be mediocre, but you're very excited about right now.
I like mediocre. Especially if it comes with minis.
Jackass.
All right, so we are doing 8 games. And Ronan is going to lead us off to the first one.
Now, this one's already been spoiled.
Has
Because it was in our top 10 last time.
That's right.
For 2019. So you know that we both like Isle of Cats, so we might have to rush through it a little bit. But the designer's Frank West, the publisher's City of Games, 1 to 4 players, 90 minutes. There are cats in peril, Sean.
They're in peril, right?
On an isle. And we have got 5 days to save them. Cat-themed games. Discuss.
There's more and more coming around, aren't there?
Aren't they just?
There's an expansion to Cat Lady I noticed in the offing that I'm sure both households will be purchasing.
We've said it before, Cat Lady's a decent drafting little game. We keep teaching it. It was because Rachel likes teaching it, because obviously she loves the theme.
Yeah.
We'll keep teaching it. It keeps going down well. That's a decent little fella. So
Cat Cafe's a very good roll and write cat-themed game. I've never played Cat Tower.
There's an awful lot of bad cat theme games on Kickstarter. What a segue. So there's a cat theme. And, all right, so either cats, that cat theme, has it brought people in or pushed people away before we even get into the mechanisms of it, or a bit of column A, a bit of column B?
Oh, you're throwing that gauntlet right down, right?
The gauntlet of fools.
The gauntlet of fools.
Did it attract you?
It attracted me because of Nat. I suppose no, it didn't attract me per se.
You haven't had cats all your life, no?
I have had cats, but I've kind of moved on from that because I've got children now. We've got it. We've had this discussion.
Put the lid back on. Those worms don't have to be out.
We've had this discussion. I used to love my cats like they were like the ultimate thing. I couldn't believe I could love anything more than my cats. And then I had kids, and I was like, actually.
I got no comments when we come out. This is dangerous ground. I think that I get slightly put off by cat themes. And when this is supposed to be a heavier polyomino drafting game, the fact that it was cat themed actually kept me away from it, I'm going to be honest.
I definitely bypassed it on Kickstarter, even though I knew sort of Nat would like it, and it was only when...
Had you just had a row, were you getting back? Yeah. Is that really passive-aggressive revenge? She'll never know. But I haven't backed that.
Well, I'll teach her. I I get in trouble when boxes arrive, Kickstarter boxes, so it's a good thing.
You shouldn't, man. Keep it all out of the open.
But yeah, so I bypassed it, but it was only when I started hearing good things about it from other sources that I started getting interested.
Exactly. And I bought it as a little care package for Rachel when she was a bit down, didn't I? I bought her a bunch of games that she like. Anyway, this one. So, in the game, each round of 5 rounds, you're going to draft 7 cards. Now, talking about that draft, the 7 cards are going to drive your actions for the rest of the round. You don't pay for the card, and you only pay for the ones you keep, which is in common with quite a few drafting games, but it leads to the ability to hate draft. That's the worry of that mechanism. I can take any card I think you might want. But I haven't found hate drafting to be much of an issue in either cats.
I think it's because that you've got your own agenda is so strong. You are thinking, right, because there's a mechanism in the game where you have to play baskets in order to play cats onto your player board. And you're thinking, right, I need baskets. Do I want there's gold, there's treasure that you can place at the end. There's the onyx. Are they onyxes?
I wrote it down. Oshaks.
There's Oshaks you want to get. There's end of game scoring. 2 types of that, personal and public. So there's so many things there that you are really thinking, oh, what do I want? And maybe when it comes to the end, when it's like, oh, I don't really care about these, what do they want? That's when the hate drafting might come in. So I don't think it's a massive problem.
Okay, so let's talk about the different types of cards that you can get during that draft. You get different types of lessons. There are 2 different types. There's private lessons, which will give you an ability to score points at the end of the game. That's maybe the one that I'd target hate drafting most on, because I look at it and go, you're much more likely to score that than me. So I'll keep hold of this one. The public lessons go out, and I think all of them, I could be wrong on all, but all of them in the base game, I think, require you to choose a colour of cat. There are 5 colours of cat in the game. There are polyominoes you're going to draft using the baskets you mentioned. And each basket you have allows you to catch 1 cat per turn. You have to pay for cats, either 3 or 5, depending upon where they are. With fish, and everyone earns 20 fish each round, although there are other ways of getting fish via special cards. So, the public lessons require you to choose a colour, one of those 5 colours of cats, to score with. They are, in effect, almost the way of scoring which you're going to react to most during the course of the game. But do you find yourself reacting to them public lessons?
Me, no, because I'm stupid and I always lose the game off the back of it. I think you really do have to. They feel like, when they go down, they feel like they're not going to be that strong. But if somebody really commits to that or already has a strong start in that process, you kind of have to go with it a little bit to keep up with them, I think. So I think it is a strong point scorer within the game, Ronan.
I find it interesting that sometimes you get them in early rounds. Now, let's say I got one that gave you points for every cat tile of a certain colour touching the edge of your boat. And I've already got 4 blues and no one else has got any blues. The urge in me then is to put that down and turn it blue because I'm further ahead, so I'm likely to score more points. The reverse to that is, I'm now making blue cats more valuable to everyone. And you don't start scoring points for families of cats till you have at least 3 in there. And then as you add more of them, they score more points until I think it's at 6 or 7 you add 5. But basically getting more of the same colour is good. If I put it down, I'm looking to score more in-game points. But I'm also making it more likely that you guys will draft blue cats, making it more difficult for me to build up my blue cat score. And I always find it difficult to time that right as to, well, it's a perfect lesson, but is it worth making this more valuable? Yeah,
no, I see that. And also, if you're kind of waiting to the end of the game for sort of maybe to say, well, okay, I'll build up my cats and then hopefully I'll pull out a private or public lesson later on in the game, the stack of cards in this that comes in this game is so big that you might never see a public or private lesson again.
Yeah, for sure.
It's absolutely huge. And myself and Nat, when we've been playing it 2-player, because obviously we don't go through as many cards, it's staggering how many cards are left untouched at the end of the game.
Oh, mate. You jumped ahead to 2-player, so we'll jump in there. I'll go there. I mean, the notes are quite clearly here.
Sorry, I've not followed in tow.
So there's loads. I only played with the base game. I didn't kickstart it. I got it retail. I haven't put the expansion in or anything like that. You're right. There's a ton of cards. In terms of scaling, so it plays 2 to 4 players in the base game. 2 completely works. Is very different. is very zero sum. That is when hate drafting will come in more. Just taking one particular colour of cat. You know, you want to build up yours, but then if that person's collecting orange, you want to nab the oranges. As soon as one person drafts a colour, it makes that colour more valuable to both.
Yes, and it's as you say, it's very obvious what everybody's going for. You're not having to sort of scour the table too hard. Yeah, we've kind of found, because of the way we play games, myself and Nat, we kind of go off and leave each other alone, which isn't really in the spirit of the game. I know. I'm in the wrong household for that sort of statement.
We played, completely off on a tangent here, we played on Board Game Arena the other night with G and Terry. Mm-hmm. We played a game of Carcassonne. And about the fifth tile I laid, I just laid a road straight directly into where Rachel had put three of her nipples into the city.
I'm well aware, she told me.
We played Arkham Horror again 2 nights ago, and literally all G wanted to talk about was how mean me and Rachel played Carcassonne against each other. Like, you two, like, it's fine to, like, say, look, we're a couple, we can't take each other. You two are horrible to each other.
And let's get this in context. Rachel didn't take it in that spirit. She was talking about it days after about what a scumbag you are. You also knackered your own game by throwing a tile to the other side of the table by accident.
By accident, yeah. I clicked on Board Game Arena. I clicked it in the wrong place, and I would have won the farmers and won the second game. Terrible. Anyway, right. Board Game Arena was really fun. Should we get back to other cats?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay. When you get these cats, you put them on a ship. Everyone's ship is the same shape. There are different rooms within that ship, and there are rats within the ship. And like I say, you're trying to get families of the same colour cat together. The polyominodes are quite big, Sean. They're not like the little 2, 3, 4 ones. They tend to be bigger unless they're treasures. And the shapes are quite odd, so you're trying to fit them in cleverly, because you're going to score for families of cats. You're going to score for your lessons. You're going to score for treasures you've put in, which basically you draft via special cards you've taken during the draft. But you're going to lose points for rooms that you haven't filled up, and the rooms are really weird shapes and sizes, and it's quite tricky. And then there are 20 rats on each ship. If you don't cover a rat, that's going to cost you a point at the end of the game. So you're thinking spatially in terms of rooms, in terms of rats, in terms of the families. It's really easy to cut yourself off from a colour and suddenly go, I can't add more purple to this family. What have I done? I'm an idiot. There are special cats you can put in called, as we said, Oshaks. They're very expensive in terms of the draft and paying fish for your cards, but they're big and they will add to any family you choose their colour when you put them down. And that whole thing, the draft, the economy of the fish is a very simple economy, but you have to consider it all the time. The different paths you can go down and what colours everyone else is choosing adds together to a game that's got really... Each individual rule is very simple, but putting them all together, you are having a thought. You're having a mental workout. Oh,
yeah, definitely. And then on top of that, I'm not sure how useful it is, but you've also got the mechanism and where you can cover a certain type of icon.
Treasure map
with a certain type of cat, so which will get you a piece of treasure to lay down, which is obviously an extra tile. It's trying to work your way to put the right cat on the top of the right treasure as well. And it does feel like an interesting mental work. I don't get overly stressed about it.
No, it's because it's smooth.
It's smooth, yeah. It just works on a nice, gentle curve.
Another thing that I think it makes it interesting is the variety in the cards. But something that I really appreciate, and I don't know how good a business decision it was, but the cards have writing on them. In plain language, every card explains what it does. It's not a set of symbols that you have to interpret. That makes it more accessible to players. Now, less accessible to players who don't speak the language in which the cards are. I understand that, which is another issue. But more accessible to players who do read that language and easier to teach. And you're not like, here is a key to what your cards might mean. So just read them and they'll make sense, right?
Yeah, I think that the way the industry has gone is for that reason that you just mentioned. They want things to be sort of multilingual and not have to sort of print cards in different languages. But it is a breath of fresh air, definitely.
Okay. Sum up on Isle of Cats. I mean, we both had it on our top 10, so...
I like the theme, even though I didn't sort of get drawn into the theme. I think the theme is actually interesting and makes sense. I think it could be anything, though. It could be like someone coming to an island to get absolutely anything or trying to eradicate things, whatever. I really like the slight twist of the twofold extension to the drafting mechanism. So you're obviously having to choose what to keep and having to pay baskets to place the cats. I think there's a really nice flow to Isle of Cats, and I think once everybody knows what they're doing, I think everybody is within that flow. There's nobody going, what does this do, what does that do? I think there is a definite learning curve to the game, Ronan. I think when you first come in...
Just because I gave you a beating. You don't have to keep bringing it up.
You and Rachel gave me a beating. But we said it in the last episode when we mentioned Isle of Cats. When you come in fresh and somebody knows the game, they are going to beat you, but you're going to see where you've gone wrong and you're going to learn from them. And the next time you're going to do slightly better and slightly better. And I think it's a nice learning curve to the game. And I thoroughly enjoy Isle of Cats.
Yeah, it was, I think, number 4 in my top 10 of 2019. It was certainly way up there, maybe number 5. I like the interaction of it. I love that it's interaction that doesn't slow the game down. I think it's fantastically smooth and replayable. We played again at the weekend and I went for a completely different strategy where I smashed my boat in treasures and smashed it in lessons to give me points for treasures and public lessons for treasures, and absolutely scored the highest score ever. And I never even thought of doing that before. So it shows that you will be learning as you go through and playing more. We've got an expansion, Late Arrivals, which we'll be bringing out in a couple of months once we've played a couple more times. Off the base game up to half a dozen plays, still exploring it, still learning it. Isle of Cats is fantastic. Highly recommended.
Okay, so we're going to move on to It's a Wonderful World, designed by Frédéric Guérard and coming from La Boîte de Jeu. The game is essentially all about expanding your empire, developing faster than others, and you're going to rule over the new world, as it were. That's about all the theme that's in it, because there's not a lot. You're going to start with a base empire card with some resource generation on it, and through 4 rounds, you're going to draft 7 cards each round. The cards are industries and have a cost, a trade value, and they can also generate resources once built. So essentially what you've got in front of you, Ronan, is a tableau, and you've got a draft area, you've got a construction area, and you've got a built area. And then what you have to decide is whether you're going to construct these cards that you've brought into your tableau, or if you're going to trade them in for the resources. They're trade-in resources. Then you are going to, once you've constructed or decided to trade them in, or put them in your construction area for later, you're going to move on to a phase where you're going to gather all the resources that you now generate. It's done on an industry stroke resource type at a time in a particular order. So for instance, you're going to start with the white resource. I can't remember what it's called. Doesn't really matter. And then if you have 3 of those, generate 3 of those, and I generate 2, you're going to get the little bonus that comes with that. And we're going to go through each of them. And the good thing is you can build your buildings at the same time. So you're constantly, so if you might have needed those 3 to finish another building for later on, and then you're going to generate more green because you've built that building that's generating. And after the end of the 4 rounds, some cards have straight up points. Some of them have multipliers for certain building or token types. And the bonuses that you get for winning the resources is businesswomen and general tokens. Not sure why they're even in the game. Why are they generals or businessmen? It's just whatever. And
it's deeply tied to that theme.
It is. That theme is just so
the white cubes, remember that?
Woven in. And they're worth points. So there you go. Not a lot to this game at all, Ronan.
It must be, because it's in a massive box. A massive box, so it must be a load.
Oh, I got the Legacy Style Deluxe Super Staley one, and I haven't touched any of the Legacy stuff that's in it. So we're just talking about the base game here.
Okay. Were you aware that it won a Golden Geek Award for 2019?
I wasn't.
No, it won the award for most not loaned game ever.
Most not loaned?
Yeah, the most requested but not given to his cousin game ever.
I was wondering when that was coming. You only asked once.
I put it in the car. Once! Young girl, Briska! About 20 times you've told me that's in your car. Where's this one? Oh, I forgot it. I think you've written things about me in the inside of the cover, and that's what you want.
That's every game.
Yeah, but these ones are mean things. So it's a wonderful world. Most not loaned game ever. Good. I've got some questions. I haven't played it. I've farmed the comments for you.
Why haven't you played it? Do you not know someone's got it?
Remember this idea that one of us buys a game so the other one will be able to play it? Is it not?
But this is why we buy multiple copies.
Yeah, it is.
Well, Rachel and Nat go, why do you buy the same game? Because
can't organise handing the box to each other. What happened to the Raise the North Sea cards that I got you last time?
They're in my bag.
Yeah, now they are. And the book I lent you, I think you left on the table anyway.
It's in my bag.
Yeah, now it is, right. So it's based around drafting.
Yes.
When we talked about Isle of Cats, I said the card drafting, or maybe you picked up that, is not the most interactive. You not necessarily hate drafting, you're a little bit aware. But I found the tile drafting is more interaction. That's where the interaction comes from. One of the comments I'm reading for It's a Wonderful World is that actually, even with the drafting, there's not that much interaction.
Oh, none.
Oh, none is even harsher than I was going to go. Carry on.
There is... You're essentially looking to build off whatever direction you've gone in. So the sort of starter learning cards will give you a direction to go in. They'll tell you what type of building is going to score you points. They'll have a three times multiplier on the card. So already you've kind of been steered in a direction. Now there's a flip side to each of those cards, and there's two more types of cards that give you no direction. I suppose that's when it might become a little bit more interactive. But definitely those starter cards tell you, so you might want to get the blue buildings, and you're going to get 3 times the points that those blue buildings
So
give
it
you.
literally guides you down different paths for scoring.
Yeah.
It actually is the anti-interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Out and right.
You can then obviously pick up during the game. You can pick up other buildings that will do the same thing, but your initial drive is, oh well, I might as well start taking blue buildings because I've already got that multiplier. So that's the way I'm going. And that, for instance, the last game we played, and that had the green buildings, which are science buildings. I remember that one.
That's a bit of theme.
There you go.
There's your theme.
So she was
Timestamp this moment.
she was going heavily for the science. I was going heavily for blue.
Which is
no idea.
Is whale sharks.
No, is that whale sharks? Whale shark. So my son's obsessed with whale sharks at the moment.
Doesn't live with you. You take him swimming.
Yeah, so literally no interaction unless unless I see a really good green card and I think, is that green card going to be better for Nat, or do I really want that blue card? Blue card gives me like maybe 5 points. Nat's one gives her 15. Whoa, that's the green one gone in. Okay. I will be trading that in for the resource.
Now it's like they had a design challenge here, because if there's no interaction in the drafting, I am told by my deep research that you have simultaneous private actions. So everyone's just doing their own little dibby all at the same time. I've got major concerns due to the fact your criminal career as a Pez finger is well documented. 3 cubes. Oh, I got 5 somehow.
To be fair, mine it also goes the other way. 5 cubes. Oh, I've ended up with 2.
It's idiocy. We're not going to call it Pez finger. So people do their own thing and do their own cube churning, and you don't.
Not really. You can't. It's such a short game, Ronan. It is a short game. It's over 4 rounds. Those rounds are pretty quick, and you can take it in turn. Right, you run your engine. All right, cool. Right, now I run my engine. Especially in the 2-player version. I think maybe with more players, you have to do it at the same time.
Okay. I'm getting nudged towards a Century Spice Roadie flavour. No. This is from other people's comments because because it's cute.
Yeah. I think it's more Century Spice Road than it is Isle of Cats.
Oh, in which case I have to thank you for not lending it to me. Please burn it.
So the choices in the game run. Again, there's not lots to think about. You've got do you plan for your big buildings, or do you bring lots of small buildings? Do you go for different types of building? All very simple. Not anything that's going to tax a sort of a seasoned gamer or somebody who's into games at all. Maybe new people would get a bit confused about the different strategies there, but certainly not taxing in terms of what way do you want to go.
Which, for me, is the concern for it, because I think that the theme doesn't exist, but the theme that's presented, the Veneer theme, and the fact that it was supposed to be like a 7 Wonders beta, but for a lot of people who are going to buy this game, that means deeper, and then the fact that the box was so massive, I think people were expecting a lot more out of this. It's not there. Do you have any hint about that whole campaign legacy thingy, whether that's going to add some of the depth, or have you got any thoughts on that at all? You haven't looked at it.
It adds a little bit of story. It's got some envelope opening moments, etc. So I
You do like an envelope.
I do like an envelope opening moment.
Yeah, you do.
So I should really work for the Royal Mail, shouldn't I?
They don't open all the mail, they deliver it. Jesus Christ. What did you get up to on the trains?
Opening the trains, obviously. So, yeah, we don't really know too much about it because this is, for us, we've got 2 games where if we haven't got a lot of time, it's quick, get it to the table. Wingspan and this one.
Nice.
Get it to the table, it takes no time to set up.
Which would you rather play? He's putting faces. This is good. Good podcasting.
I think there's a little bit more to Wingspan, but this is quicker. So I think this one, if it was any longer, would outstay its welcome because there's not enough interest. But in that...
Right, you and me have got 40 minutes. Which would we normally play? You and me.
40 minutes, probably Wingspan.
Okay. Your colleague from work is coming around for the first time to play games. Which would you rather play with them?
I think It's a Wonderful World.
Oh.
I should also mention, one of the things about Wingspan is a brilliant production, and this is an absolutely lovely production. It's also got the Century Spice Road thing of little dishes for the for the cubes. Each cube comes in its own box and within the box, and you pull it out, and they're already in dishes. And you put the dishes on the little central board.
I'm just trying to think if I could care less. I don't think I could.
You know, I get excited about those things.
I'm interested enough to play it. There's some things about it that suggest to me it's not going to be my favourite game ever, but it could be a cube churner I enjoy. But this really is an ongoing tale of harsh denial and the fact that the world is not fair.
We'll get it to you one day. I have my worries whether you will like it. I think there might not be enough for you.
Don't worry about it. It's okay.
I do worry.
It's okay. Don't worry.
I worry about it.
I'm okay. We're okay. It's fine.
I think for me and Nat, especially right now during the middle of the lockdown, looking after a toddler, when we don't want to think too much sometimes about a game, we don't really have a lot of time before we sort of pass out in our chairs dribbling. This is perfect. It's half an hour, it's done. It's a little bit of thinking, not a massive amount. You're not delving too far into the theme or anything like that. So it's absolutely perfect for that. And for that reason, we both enjoy it a lot. But I don't know, unless the legacy expansions and what have you, and in-play revelations, unless they add a lot to it, I'm not sure how much we're going to get out of it in the years to come.
Lovely. And that was...
It's a Wonderful World.
My next game is Trismegistus, a 1 to 4 player, roughly 2 hour long game from Daniele Tascini and Federico Pierlorenzi, published by Board and Dice. Or is it?
Oh, where's that coming? Where's the angle? What's the angle?
What is the angle on this one, Royce?
What is the angle?
Is this... It has Board and Dice written on the box. Is it a Board and Dice game?
I don't know, because I never played it. It doesn't seem as interesting as maybe...
Or as well produced?
Well produced, yeah.
Or with a decent rule book?
I've written down, it really doesn't shout exciting at potential suitors.
Remember when you were a potential suitor? You bought a destroyer. Do you remember that?
I did.
Beautiful. Okay. Because prior to the production of this game, Board and Dice bought NSKN.
That's correct.
This is the most NSKN game.
No. NSKN always sounded interesting. Sounded like, oh, that's a really good idea. This is a good
idea.
It sounds like just all of it screams boring.
No, you scream boring.
Yeah.
I should be. I'm muting you, even though we're in the same room. I don't know. That's not muting. That's muffling.
No,
so we've really got to talk about these words, right? So, Board and Dice, and we're going to review another Board and Dice game in a second. I've forgotten I put the two of them together, but there we go. I did. Brings expectations to me of interesting, well produced, smooth play, good rule book. NSKN gives expectations of poor art, dodgy components, bad rulebook. The most NSKN thing about it is, now the game itself is an alchemy-based game in which a whole bunch of dice are rolled at the beginning of a round. They're put into 6 different areas. You're going to draft a dice 3 times over the course of a round. There's 3 rounds in the game. When you take that dice, it has multiple functions, but the functions it has depends upon where you've drafted it from the 6 places. Because where you take it from makes it a certain element. Elements are raw, they have to be refined before you can then use them in different recipes. which you have to use to build up your mastery of elements in order to create different concoctions. It's basically a menu game, whereby you get cards that say you need 3 of this, 2 of this, and 1 of this. You're then trying to work out how, from your limited 3 drafting, from the twinky twonkies you can do, from the twister-roonies, from the follow someone else's actions, to get enough variety in your actions to be able to concoct a recipe, and that's going to score you points. You can get artifacts and stuff and pay for them. You can unlock a special formula for yourself by making gold and paying it. There's all different sorts of things of twisting around. It's a typical NSK game where there's 4 or 5 different processes going on in which you're just trying to get the base elements you need in order to fulfill a recipe throughout the game. And the recipes get more and more difficult and you score more and more points with them. However, one of the most NSKing things about Trismegistus is...
we're making a name for ourselves. We've got the Jude attacking...
Well, no, listen, NSKing's a dead company. So I can go to town on these, all right? A border dies, you know, we've given them good reviews, given them bad reviews. I love them. They're really friendly and nice people. They do great quality. I think they care about their board games. But you got to say what you got to say. The most NSKing thing about this is they give you a starting hand, right? And the mastery of the elements is you have to have, if you want to make a certain fire recipe, you've got to get a certain level up of fire mastery. And you do that by spending resources, but by various other methods. They give you a starting hand that gives you a mixture of everything. So you start off with some earth mastery, but you need some water elements, and then you've got a fire recipe, and then your overall final goal card, which is also weird. They give you the goal card at the beginning of the game, and a lot of them score fewer points than just normal cards you can pick up in round 3. But anyway, this gold card that they give you, you're looking at it, and it requires something different. So you're starting off going up all 4 tracks. Mm-hmm. So, this rubbish! Your first game with what are you talking about, man? I'm just going to smash fire, grab every single fire card that comes out. I'll be able to do it. I no longer have to worry about getting my mastery up because I am the master of fire. I then just have to get the base elements, refine them, and I can score points.
So I did look at all the comments. I haven't taken anything in particular down to sort of throw at Ronan, but generally I think a lot of people are really taking on board where the game is trying to direct them, and they are trying to sort of keep all these plates spinning and juggle all these things in one, and they're not streamlining, as you said, because there's a lot of people saying that the whole process just feels overburdened and needlessly complicated.
It's just making you jump through several hoops. You have to jump through 3 or 4 hoops in order to make a simple recipe and score a handful of points. Then if you don't get recipes that trigger off what you've done and what you've improved to go on a second one that's similar, you're just starting all over again from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it's a very frustrating start-stop process. You never get anywhere. Screw it, just go crack. I'm the water master. Boom, straight down. That's it. And if you do that, because there's 4 mastery tracks, there's a maximum of 4 players, everyone ends up just picking their own track. And so then it's just a race to who can get down there and just go out and do it.
So, let me ask you a question. So there seems to be, from afar, quite a lot of iconography in this game. How did that work? Were you able to quickly decipher everything, or was it too much?
I found it not too bad, all right? But at the end of the day, I'm learning 3, 4, 5 games every week to do the videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was okay. Rachel found it much harder to learn. And other feedback was, there's a lot on here. And there's quite similar icons. And one of the thing is, you got the different areas you draft from for the bowls. And some of the icons for what they are very, very similar. Even the icons on the dice, 2 of them are almost the same. But you just got to flip them. You got to almost compare them next to each other. The other thing about the flipping dice is there's a limit to how many dice can appear in a pool in one of the 6 areas. So you roll them all, you divvy them up and go, that one's got too many. So you roll all of them again. And then you divvy them up again. All right, now these 2 have got too many. So you pick that up, roll them. All right, now there's 2. Okay, now I'll pick this one up and roll that. Oh, now 3 have got too many. I'll roll that one. Right, we're back down to 2 with too many in. And now, 20 rolls just to start the round. It's like another NSK thing of like, make that smoother. Why is that so hard? It's not all bad. I've had a little bit of a shout about it. There's clever things whereby you can earn yourself tokens to copy another player's action so that when they use their elements, you then use them. And you have to do that to play well. And that adds so you're not ignoring what other players are doing. You're like, okay, you've drafted a Mercury. All right, I can use this to flow your Mercury, which will trigger off that one, which will push that up, which means I can push this across, and now I can do my recipe, which will give me that bonus, trigger that artifact. And it is clever like that. You can kick off a process.
But that's NSKN again, though. There were always clever aspects of their games, and you just thought, why don't you focus on that and streamline that and smooth that off, and then you'd have had a much better product.
The stuff they added on top of that just made it rougher rather than, really polishing it into a gem. It's more fool's gold than gem, I'd have to say. Is that giving it all away? I think that's it for Trismegistus, to be honest with you. It's good in parts. It's got real potential. There's some interesting things there. I did feel the alchemy theme, and that I was getting these elements and I was transmuting them, even though it's just moving stuff along a track. But it never felt fully developed. And it was just like the final frustrating nail in the NSKN coffin of, oh, you're so annoying because you're so close. Like, be rubbish. Don't be this. Don't be in this mid-zone of almost good.
There's a certain part of me that's a little bit happy that you didn't get on with this, because I said all along it was rubbish.
Yeah.
But I wonder, because when Board and Dice did take over NSKN, I wonder if it's one of those projects that NSKN had underway and Board and Dice just let them finish it.
I can't say that whether I asked them that or not at last Essen, and I certainly couldn't comment on whether they said yes or not.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so that was Trismegistus, and we're going to move on now to City of Gears from Chris Leader and Daryl Andrews, and from Grey Fox Games. The theming around City of Gears is there's been an abandoned clockwork stroke steampunk metropolis, and it's in the sight of us players, and we're racing to explore it, to control it, and ultimately exploit this city for our own nefarious... I don't know if it's nefarious.
No,
don't know.
Okay, efficient.
So in the game, each player has a number of robots they control, and they're going to be sending these robots into the City of Gears to do their bidding. The city itself is a 3x3 grid of initially face-down tiles, and we're going to be trying through our robots to reveal and control these tiles. Why? Because they offer powers and resources. So on the turn, you simply roll 3 dice, and this is your basic income of resources, and the resources are used to do various things, like draw gears from a bag. And these gears are going to be attached to your player board with special powers, or they're going to be used as bridges to the city, to the various tiles on the city itself, for your robots to cross. You can also use these resources to move your robots, to remove other players' robots and bridges. So there is a little bit of combat, if you like, within the game. Then you're going to run your city. So your tiles with robots are activated for the power on the tiles. And any tiles that are connected by gear bridges that you don't have... Richard gear that you don't have
Jeff.
Robots specifically on, but are connected to ones you do have robots on.
Richard Jeffs.
What are you on about, you maniac?
Jeff Bridges!
You're an idiot.
I love Jeff Bridges.
I've always been a bow person.
Oh no!
Less said about Lloyd.
Pick the wrong week to give up amphetamines.
So the ones that you don't have robots that are connected to ones you do have robots are going to give you additional resources and maybe some points. You continue until all 9 city tiles have been turned face up, and then the end of game process is going to begin.
What's the end of game process?
You throw 4 white tiles into the bag of tiles, and when 3 of them are drawn out, that's the end of the game.
I got that. That was in my comments that I mined.
There you go.
Good.
Ronan, I'm going to start off where I like to start these things off. It is a lavish production.
Lavish!
Lavish.
You found a new word.
There you go. Hey!
That thesaurus was totally worth it. Does that correspond into price?
It may do. I don't know. I got it very cheap from from a business that went bankrupt.
You scumbag. I am currently looking up boardgameprices.co.uk, not affiliated with the Game Pit. Carry on.
There was an additional edition which wasn't very nice, but I think Grey Fox picked it up, kickstarted it.
You can get it for 32 quid in English.
Oh, that's not too bad. It is quite an old game. This is a 2012 game. So
the original one is, right? I think it looks like the standard retail price was around 50 quid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's probably fair, given that if you did get the deluxe version, I think that is a good price, because there's a lot in there. They are really nice components. It all feel like the gears themselves, big massive bag of chunky plastic gears.
Great value. So what would you say morally about someone who picked over the bones of someone's shattered dreams of their business?
They advertised it on Facebook for sale. Nobody. I should have realised. Look into the future here. I should have realised when nobody else wanted this one.
Oh, spoilers.
Spoilers.
I'll rush through the comment section then. I've got Swingy.
Oh my god, yeah. That is the absolute main problem I have with the game. I will describe a situation, Ronan. It's actually quite hard to get your robots, even though there's only 9 tiles, quite hard, because you've got to build those bridges. You only get 3 base resources per round, and you're also trying to remove other people's stuff, and there's other things you want to do and get into those tiles.
Is it too cheap while you're talking about paying resources to attack? There's been suggested it's too cheap to attack each other and too easy to deconstruct.
Yes.
While you're on that point. Yeah. Carry on with the original point.
So, as we found out we've played this 4 times, and 3 of the 4 games, one person has had tiles that have randomly... And there's a big stack of tiles, so it's completely random. And they've had random tiles turn up on their doorstep that really sort of generates points for them, and tiles that have turned up next to those that fit in to those. So if they say, if you've got a robot on this tile and another tile like it, then you get double points or something. So yeah. And it's very hard for sort of Natalie as the other player to get across to me to get rid of my robots, which is quite easy if you are sort of in the middle areas competing for the middle tile, etc. And then sort of maybe then piggyback on those points. That's almost the whole game, because by the time you've done that, you've revealed half the map and it's almost over. So that person's already, just by being able to build 2 bridges and send 2 robots out, has started amassing points, and you might not have anything like that on your side. So that was the biggest problem for us. It was too random. So really good that there was a lot of variety, Ronan, but then the negative makes it too random.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned on it there, again, from the comment section, I haven't played City of Gears, just to confirm that, comments about it being over before it begins.
Can be.
Feels like if those 3 white cogs for the end game go in, they can just come out early.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Early in the end game, and then it's like, whoa, it's over. So and then you'll say, I think that makes that worse, of that early game advantage you discussed, of having the good tiles near you. Something about bad rolls? Is there rolling in this?
There is. There's 3 resource dice that you roll at the beginning of each round, and right. So you can store resources from round to round, and you can generate resources when you do sort of run your city or run your influence of the city, the area control part. But your base resources are all about 3 dice rolls. And so if you really wanted to delve into that gear bag and you don't get the resources that allow you to do that, you're at a disadvantage, because somebody who does get those resources can then spend their other resources on sort of moving around the map, what have you.
This is sounding marvellous. Before you make any final points to sum up, I wanted to bring balance, because I knew that you weren't the biggest fan of City of Gears, right? City of Gears. So I did go through the comments and reviews and stuff
fair
like
enough.
that. This is, I think, the best one I can pull up for you. Best comment I found.
Best comment you found, right? Okay.
Can be easily fixed.
I'll give you the best comment. Tom Vassell loved it. Thought it was the bomb.
Tom's a lovely man. He's done a lot for us in terms of exposure, but tasting games, it's variable. God, did he love the new Gloomhaven, George the Lion? Oh my lord!
He gave it 10, didn't he?
He's
10 out of 10.
Dropping those going to set fire to his hat. His excitement.
Yeah, no,
he's got me excited for it. The map book is. They're not tiles anymore, they're on a book.
Yes.
I done with it.
Yeah, I saw him waxing lyrical about that.
People have been on to Isaac on Twitter, and he said, yeah, we're going to have to... Some people have asked for it. We're going to have to think about printing one for actual Gloomhaven. Aye.
That'll make things a bit easier.
Yeah, carry on.
So, City of Gears. Again, lots of variety in the gear bag. As I said, it's a massive bag full of gears. Now, each of those gears has a different power on it.
Okay.
Some of it's like text, where you say if you do this, you get to do this. Some of it's like an extra resource every round that you can spend. The variety is amazing, and they've obviously gone to a lot of trouble to put in that variety. Again, completely random. You might get, and there are better ones and there are worse ones. So you might get 3 or 4 wicked ones, and I'm sitting there with like absolute, well, this doesn't really work anymore. That like worked once for me. Completely random. You can never have the same game twice of this, and you can never build up an understanding of it because you never know what's going to come. So you just feel like you're piddling in the wind, Ronan.
That point could be a positive because some people would like that nature of, right, I'm relearning this every time, brand new challenge, I'm relearning. It's like the sort of game that Rachel would hate and I would quite like. But it's the rest of it
that drew me to the game.
Right, yeah.
So, and what sort of disappointed me about the game was that it's not just random, it can be unfairly random and really unfair, and it can be the difference between winning and losing the game, and you don't
It's
really
like the genetic lottery, isn't it, Sean?
that I won and you lost.
Okay.
I'm going to sum up on City Gears. I pretty much already have, Ronan. Really, really excited about it, and then the random just killed it for me. It just felt like I didn't have any agency in the games at times, and sometimes my opponent didn't have any agency in the game. We've only played it 2-player, that's the disclaimer. I've played it a few times 2-player, maybe with more players, that would even out a little bit, but certainly as a 2-player game, and for me, City of Gears is not a winner.
Okay. Maybe it's because you're running low on memory. No, it didn't work.
That was terrible.
Okay. It's another board and dice game. It's low memory. It's for 1 to 4 players. The overall playtime, this is not a single player, but overall playtime is 8 hours roughly. It's from Bartosz Idzkowski and Jakub Laban, and it is an escape room game, which is the second in the stories line from Board and Dice. We had The Awakenings first, and this is the next one. And it's 3 linked stories, and they're set in the near future. And you play the role of a protagonist. And for the first third, you're a protagonist. Second third, a different one. And the third, final one, you're a different one again. And they have different views and aspects on one storyline running through it. And it's the same as the one we played together, Awakenings, in that you get a location. The location is split into a grid. And you have action tokens. And you put an action token on the grid. It tells you to draw a card. That will have some information on there. It may be part of a puzzle. You refer to an app. The app will tell you how many cards you need to be able to fully solve this puzzle. So you know if you get 3 cards of the same symbol, you look in the app, you need 3 cards to solve this. Once you've got those 3, contained within those 3 is all the information you need to solve this puzzle and do whatever you need to do. There is a hint system within the apps, and there's also just tell me the answers system within the apps. And you don't get punished with time or anything. The action tokens are the time, and if you inefficiently spend them, you will get cards come out that will change what's going on and make it slightly tougher, or change your ending to the game, because it will. It seems, well, you collect cards with different icons on during the course of the game, and the more time you spend, the more of those cards get taken off you, and that affects what your denouement will be. I'll start there with the action token system. In Awakenings, you get a place, you're in a room, and from what you were trying to do and what you've been told was going on, it was much easier to fathom this is a sensible place to start our investigation. And from what we found on that card or been told, this is now, or read, this is now a sensible place to go within this room. And you could follow a train with your action tokens. In low memory, I found the logic of where to spend your action tokens much woollier. And almost, I was finding the last or second to last place I would have gone in the room was the one I needed.
Right.
But there was no indication. There was red herrings in places where they were like, well, it looks like you need this, but you don't. And you're like, well, you're wasting my time with that, you know.
Is that because you mentioned that you've kind of got the perspectives of 3 different characters? Is it that you've got to put your sort of head more in the character than the sort of the game itself and the mechanisms of the game, that you're trying to think as the character does?
So you stumble into a second problem there. The situation itself is a mystery. You know, you wake up and you don't know what's happened. You can't remember the last whatever period. You're in a house, it's a wreck, there's stuff going on, like stuff has happened, but you don't remember how it happened. You also don't have enough backstory of who you are to be able to contextualise any of the things you're learning.
Right, okay.
So there's an overall mystery going on. We're like, what? The first big mystery is, what is the overall mystery? What am I trying to do? Like in Awakenings, you've got that pretty spiel, you were trying to waken up your kid from a coma and you had to go and do all the occult stuff to do it. In this, you don't get that. then you don't know what your third of the story is, what you're really trying to do, and then you don't know who your character is and what your motivations are. You don't know what their relationship is with other characters. So characters are mentioned, but you don't know whether you're friendly to them or not friendly to them. And you're supposed to discover that as you go through, and then you get it from a different perspective, which shines a different light on it. But I've been fishing in the dark too much. I don't have a direction to go in.
Do you just go from perspective to perspective? It's not like another person takes on the other's perspective. It's just you going through it.
Yeah, no, you all play as the first perspective
Right.
for the first third. Then you completely shift to someone who's coming into that situation from a different angle, and then you completely shift wildly for the third one.
So I did read somewhere that when you change perspective, there's changes in actual gameplay from story to the way the game plays and the way the mechanisms. Is that true, and if so, is it confusing?
Have I missed that and been too thick?
Maybe.
I did play this on nights at work, so whenever the trains are away, you get a couple of hours between like 2 and 4 in the morning.
Just a couple of people mentioned it in the comments, just said that they found that
I think it's to switch to the third perspective, it changes things.
Maybe.
That's the biggest change. I was a bit frustrated by the time I got to that point in the game.
Okay.
So maybe I wasn't thinking about it deep as I should, because I had found the 6 hours before that to be a really frustrating experience.
Okay. Interesting. How did you get on with the subject matter? A lot of people said it sort of felt a bit disturbing and questioned whether it was necessary.
I think it's an adult situation in which you're dealing with adult themes. I think possibly they could make that more obvious. Perhaps the idea of a 12 or 15 tag on the front.
Yeah.
Or to say this deals with mature. But I don't think it's something we should discourage. I think there's nothing wrong with a game exploring into a story that's not just a dungeon or is not just a space station. It's about people in the near future. It's about human relationships, the fact that they're not what they seem. There's clearly something's gone wrong somewhere, and you're working out how it's gone wrong.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a negative.
So do you want to sum up for us on Low Memory?
The art's fantastic. The setting is interesting. There's good puzzles. Some are frustrating, but I think I always find that in escape room games. So I don't think that's... So at the heart, when you look at that, you'd say, well, there must be a good escape room game. But because they've made so much of the story in this particular line, and there's reading paragraphs, and you're supposed to be doing things for motivations, and your character that you're all representing has emotional reactions to things, the story has to carry it much more than the other escape room game, and it doesn't. And it led to frustration. So I found this worth playing, but a much more frustrating experience, and I think that Awakenings is the better of the two by a distance.
Okay, lovely. So I'm going to bring up Robin Loxley again. It was mentioned 2 episodes ago in the first of our Matthew Jude episodes.
Not in my wheelhouse.
Not in my wheelhouse, indeed.
Right.
This is my game that is I can't think of what type of game it is.
Abstract.
This is my abstract puzzle game.
Like your brain just went.
Yeah, like it really
Were you
did.
thinking only in colours and emotions?
Again. So it's Robin of Loxley, Uwe Rosenberg.
Synesthesia. Good.
Thank you. Robin of Loxley, Uwe Rosenberg, Rio Grande and Wormgold. So we are Robin, and we're looking to collect loot in order to free King Richard, who has been captured while out in the Crusades. Maybe we should have left him.
Oh.
What you have here is a 5x5
13th century scandal.
grid of treasure tiles. 6 types clearly indicated by different colour backgrounds. Around the edge are more tiles that depict tasks and challenges to carry out. So you're going to move your Robin Meeple like a knight in chess and collect the treasure that you land on. And you're going to collect these treasures to achieve certain goals, to advance through the task on the edge of the grid. And you can also, if you don't want to actually do the task on the edge of the grid, you can collect the treasures and hand them in for coins, and then pay the coins to get through. So you quite simply, you go around the edge of the grid twice, or you lap your opponent to win. Robin Loxley, I think it is a clever movement puzzle, Ronan.
Is that, are you done with that review?
That's it.
That's it, okay,
Yeah.
thanks for that, good. Uwe Rosenberg game, I know he's produced a lot. He started his own company to produce more because he's got so many game ideas. They're not all going to be hits. You'd think this would have been heard of. I think this is clearly getting skipped over because from the box cover, doesn't look good. Don't care.
No.
The components don't look good.
Yeah, quite standard.
That's a bit of a pattern with Rio Grande, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's boxed there as well. And there's very few components in that size of a box. All of which is very underwhelming. And the Uwe Rosenberg name, and we know more people come in the hobby every year, so the vast majority of the audience is newer to games, is not as strong to them as it is to us now getting elderly.
It certainly blends into that sort of sea of sort of samey looking games, doesn't it? But yeah, I think the components themselves, they're okay. They do the job. But as you said, I think this needed to be a small box, something like the Crew, that kind of size box, and maybe slightly smaller components in terms of the tiles, and it would have worked just fine. It would have been even more portable than it is, and I think that's where its niche probably was. I think you've hit that spot on.
Thank you. I hear the goals are too easy to skip if they are not convenient to you.
Not too easy. I think there's two different strategies you can take. You can either try and build up a big collection of one type of treasure. So the more you get, the more coins you get when you hand them in. Or, well, obviously, but I think you have to get to 4 and you get 1 coin back. If you get 4, then 5, 2, 6, 3. So the more of that type of treasure, the more coins you've got and the more of those tasks you can skip. But there's a definite way of playing. It's not just, I'll fudge it out and I'll just pay a coin. You can work towards that. You don't just have the coins. The coins are actually quite hard to get.
Okay. The second thing I said about it is some concerns about variety, both within the game, because you're going twice around the same circuit.
Yep.
So you make your plan and you just execute it. And also between games, people are saying they would like to see more variety, whatever it may be, more tiles or goals. I haven't played it, but they said that it would have been easier to have more variety. It's just not there.
I don't know what Rio Grande or Wormgold are looking for the future, but a very easy game to expand. I think they've given you enough to get those maybe initial sort of 5 to 10 games. I think it probably would have to be expanded beyond that. I quite like that you're going around twice because you know what's coming up and you can start to plan for it. Even though you can always read ahead, you get that sort of sequence into your head. Right, okay, so this is where I went wrong that time. I didn't prepare for that. So next time when I go around, I'll try and alter it slightly. And all the time you're moving in that chess knight pattern, and it's quite hard to get the ones you want sometimes.
Yes, hopefully, because that's the name.
Well, yeah. And on sticking on that, it can be quite frustrating in terms of you can get in each other's way, and you can get in each other's way deliberately. And there's certain times where your task on the edge is to be beside somebody or be in a certain area of the grid.
You start Benny Hilling.
You start Benny Hilling. So
no,
you're not getting beside me. No,
Bazinga.
So and that is, it can be really frustrating, but it's also very clever. And once I calm down, I do enjoy it.
In terms of scoring, my Spies report, it's always close.
It certainly has been in any game that I've played of it.
Good or bad?
I think if somebody did lap you, I think that would be a bit of an anticlimax.
But if it's always close, it can feel like every action isn't that important because you're going to end up...
But it doesn't always appear to be close. That's the beauty, in my opinion, of the game, is that sometimes you store up. You're storing up for that big go where you're just handing everything, go whoosh. And the other person might think, all right, I'm half the board away from this person, so if I accelerate, I could lap them and win the game. Next minute, they're right beside you. And that is where the beauty lies.
Sounds like something I would never do.
Sounds like you all over.
Hey.
I can imagine you being like, I'd be one place behind you about to lap you, and you go, hang on, I've won.
That sounds glorious. I have listed it due to your recommendation and a couple of other people saying it's a decent game as one to try.
I shall try and bring it down like It's a Wonderful World, maybe in a year. Maybe.
I can only take so much.
So Robin Loxley, for me, it's a really clever puzzle game made much better by the tasks. You can plan, but you can also disrupt your opponents. I just really like the interaction of the game. I think it's a fun game. I think the frustration is a good frustration rather than a bad frustration.
Oh, I like a good frustration.
And I do like a bit of Robin of Loxley.
Oh, good. Nice to know. Okay. My last actually played game, before we look at our Kickstarter recent activity, is Welcome to... I'm a bit late on this boat, aren't I?
You were a little bit.
It was a bit hot a while ago. And I didn't play it, and now I've decided to play it. Okay. 25 minutes long from Benoit Tapin, Blue Cocker Games, for 1 to 100 players, Sean.
Let's get that one going, yeah?
They're not going to fit in this room, but we'll do our best. Okay, not anytime soon, I wouldn't suggest. I don't like roll and write games.
Don't you?
No.
Don't you?
No, don't tell me a roll and write game I like.
I think we're about to talk about one, aren't we?
This is a flip and write game. I'm gonna flip, reverse it.
Oh, God.
If I can't do Blazing Squad, this podcast is over.
Listen, I will meet you by the crossroads, all right?
Believe
That
it.
really was Bone Thugs and Harmony, but never mind.
Okay, good. I don't know what you're talking about. Didn't they cover it?
They covered it.
Badly?
Badly.
But Bone Thugs and Harmony is the original. Yeah. You were watching some R&B a little while ago.
I was getting my memories.
Love that song. Okay. What are we doing and welcome to? Sean, we're building 3 streets.
Yes, we are.
That's what we're doing. It's a flip and write, so you're going to be marking off houses on your sheet that everyone gets the same sheet. You're going to flip over 3 cards. On the streets, you have to put the house numbers ascending. You're going to choose from the 3 cards that are flipped. They'll give you 3 numbers, and next to each of them will be a feature from the previous card, because they just flip over into the next column, sort of, pile. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're choosing both a number and the action to go with it. Like I say, when you put them on the 3 streets, they're short or medium long, you put them in ascending, and then you're marking off what they do. So the things they do are, certain houses have pools. If you choose a number that's got a pool next to it, you can mark off, and you get to score a certain number of points for how many pools you've managed to build, and that gets more the more pools you build during the course of the game. Every street has a park scoring on it. If you choose a number to put on your street and it has a park next to it, you cross off 1 park space, and again, the more park spaces you cross off on a street, the more points you'll score. If you get to maximise your park, especially on a longer street, you'll score a lot of points for doing that. There are also fences. When you get a fence, you get to draw a line between any houses, whether they're full or not. What you're looking to do is build estates of certain numbers of houses in them, be it 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 6, for 2 different reasons. One is there are 3 different goal cards out for everyone to do, and they might say you need 2 estates and a 4 estate, and the first person to do that is going to score a certain number of points, and it flips, and everyone else who does it after that is going to score a fewer number of points, but still points. As well as that, you also score per estate, and the size of the estate is going to tell you how many points you score, and the bigger estates obviously score more points, but equally there's an action that lets you accelerate the scoring for particular size of estates. And if all that gets confusing, let's say you're trying to build blocks of 4 houses, there's both goals linked to that, but also at the end of the game I can mark it up so that all my blocks of 4 houses are worth more points to me. And fencing is all about subdividing to score. There's also a BIS, Sean, which lets you put 2 of the same number next to each other, but can cost you points at the end of the game if you use it too often.
That's right.
And there's also another thing that lets you go up or down to, I can't remember the name of it. It's the orange one. So if you've got a 12 with an orange next to it, it can be a 10, 11, 12, 13 or 14. And there's a majority scoring. Whoever's using the most of those gets a few points, and second a few fewer, and so on. It goes on until either someone has done all 3 of the council goals with those blocks of houses in particular configurations, or
they can't physically use
anything. And then once that happens 3 times to someone, the game's over. You gave it away. I enjoyed it. Is it because there's more control with the flipping? Because you've played this.
I have played it, yes. I gave it to you, in fact.
Did you give it to me?
I did give it to you.
Oh.
I was going to flog it at Aircon, and
I nicked it out your bag. So give is a very generous word you used there.
No, I offered you any game that I was going to sell, and you said I will have welcome to.
Well, I think I nicked it.
Did you? Oh, okay, I'll steal it back then. Not sure why you like this one so much, Ronan. It's the honest. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't. Nat didn't get on with it at all. I think the theme is quite uninspiring. It didn't grab me at all. Making
I think it's nicely presented.
It is. It's done in that sort of 1940s, 50s.
I'm going to say 50s.
50s, yeah.
Style of, new dream neighbourhood, and white privet
fences. That's the one.
Hedges, isn't it?
No, privet
Picket
fences.
fences.
Picket fence. Oh, yeah, you're right. Picket fences.
Picket and privet. Who put them so close to each other?
Why would they do that?
And don't forget the pocket walls as well. Yeah, I mean, the thing's not putting me in, but it's not throwing me away.
But did you find that it was a solitaire game? Because that was my one sort of thing. I didn't feel like in Cat Cafe. Again, effectively you're doing your own thing, but the dice drafting mechanism in Cat Cafe at least gives that sort of little bit of interaction between players. Everyone can choose everything. It's not like I choose that one, you can't have it.
Yes, which I think is why it's very important, and as you've just seen, I've just got the winter expansion for it, that you go through different maps which give you slightly different choices, because everyone is doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. You're right, I think the only interaction we've had is on the fencing, in that you look and see, are they going for a particular guy? Are they going for the 6-2-1? Right, I'm going for the 4-4-2. Then, you know, and then keep an eye on going, okay, they're doing it like that. Other than that, you're right, you're kind of doing your own thing, but to me, this is, and I don't love it, but I do quite like it, and Eddie actually loves it. This is hitting the spot that you described for It's a Wonderful World.
Yeah, okay. I think I've written down a very similar thing to what you just said there. I think it's good for a few games, but then you will need to sort of chuck in some expansions and get some variety going. Cause I think
variety.
I mean, you could go for different strategies, but you're kind of depending on what comes up. And the thing I did really like about the game, Ronan, was that gamble. Where to place the sort of increments of the numbers, where to place them. You don't want to go hang out for that 1, 2, 3, 4. So do you take that 4 after you've built a 1? Do you take a 5 and then hope to maybe get some close together then? There's that little bit of gamble in there I liked.
Yeah, and you don't want to leave yourself with all 3 streets needing low numbers.
Yeah.
You need the variety, so, you know, just hitting one street hard is difficult. Yeah, and that's enough to think about, right?
Yeah,
for a game with this deck. What you said there with regards to bring you back to the maps, they've done with this game is the thing that we have been saying for about 5 years that more publishers should do. Publish the game, publish mini expansions. Yeah. Not rubbish mini expansions, but what they're doing is selling a new pad of paper for £6 or £7, and it changes the rules a bit. And you've got 100 things in there. It does. It just for free. This is going to be slightly different, and then we can go back to normal one. And now we've got the winter one. We can get the spring one, and the summer one, the autumn one, and the Halloween one, and the zombie one, and there's about 8 different expansions out for this, and each one is just £6 or £7. It's the easiest thing in the world, and yes, we're very lucky to be able to do it. But to be buying a game, I just bought Fantastic Factories. You were here when the box arrived. What came with it? A pad for it. And he said, "It's one world. Well, welcome to." And that fact that it's just £6-7 to refresh it is going to keep it in the rotation. Yeah,
definitely. I would have kept it, but that really, for some reason, that just didn't enjoy it at all. But I would have kept it. I think it's a good game. I'm not fussed that I don't own it anymore, but I will certainly play it whenever.
Yeah, I've played it 3 times. I think Rachel and Ellie have played it more than that. They enjoy it even more than I do. I think it's a nice filler. It keeps getting requested, which is why it's going to be popular. We said it before about if your family likes a game, you're going to be more inclined to like the game because you're enjoying the shared time. And that definitely, this is being helped by the fact that other people in the house enjoy playing it. So Welcome To is an unexpected hit to me. It's one that Sean was selling. I'd heard so much. I thought, almost, I guess, for the podcast, I have to give it a go. You know, with this certain games before we have to play, so you're keeping relevant in your...
Yeah. So many people talk about them, and you just think, you know what, I've got a problem.
So that I can refer back to it and stuff like that. So, yeah, Welcome To, it's a decent game. I really like it. And if you're into roll and writes and flip and writes, this is definitely one of the better ones that I have played. Sean,
okay, so
you're finishing on a nice,
gentle...
Okay, I'm going to lie down for about 30 minutes while you explain this game. This is a rules overview, a gentle brush of the rules.
And it has to be a gentle brush of the rules. So I'm talking about Vinhos Deluxe Edition, not the 2010 version, the original that came out. I'm talking about the Special Reserve or whatever it's called that they sort of redid in 2016. The game is from Vital Lacerda and Eagle Griffin Games. And in the game, you're going to make, trade and enter competitions with Portuguese wines, Ronan. Over 6 rounds, which are years, we're going to be selecting actions on a 3x3 grid of available actions, and you're going to be able to do 2 of these per player. And the actions that you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to build your vineyards, and you're going to take tiles from specific areas of Portugal, and each one of these has a unique bonus that you're going to add to your player boards. You can build cellars, which allow you to store more wine and earn more money and points for them. Build wineries, you add into the quality of the wine, and there's a very definite difference between quality and the price value in this game, and they go to great lengths. And like when you're adding things up, this is your quality of the wine, and this is the price you're getting for the wine. And you have farmers and enologists. That was a new one to me. Enologist. I'd never heard of an enologist.
I acknowledge that.
And they add to the quality of the wine. You've also got
You put them in.
You put them in. They're going to guide you. And your farmers are going to obviously grow nicer grapes for you.
Oh, that's nice.
There you go. You've also got an export where you're going to get points for the wine that you produce. And you've got your sales section where you're going to sell your wine, and you're going to enhance the sales of that by things like the quality of the wine, the region bonus for the wine, and I mentioned before, cellars. Also in the game are wine experts, who give you one-off power, and they add to wine fair points. We're going to talk about the wine fair in a minute. And the press release, which is early access to that wine fair competition, and it gives you a chance to become the first player. So after the actions, you're going to produce your wines, and the quality of the wine will depend on multiple factors. The number of vineyards you have, your wineries, your farmers, your enologists, and the weather that year has. Any wine present was going to age, and then the wine, as I said, the wine quality and value are a different entity. After the 3rd, 5th and 6th year, there is going to be a wine fair, and you're going to put your wine into a show for prizes and points. What do points make?
Prizes!
Yeah!
Not in this game.
So you're going to submit a wine, and the quality will be supplemented by additional points.
Come on down!
We stopped. I've moved
See
on.
what you see.
I've moved on.
Okay, sorry.
This is Mr. Chaps.
I thought you said do the quiz show bits now.
So you're going to submit a wine, and the quality is going to be supplemented by additional points from the exports or experts even, and the regions.
Acknowledgists.
Get out. You disgust me. And the best wine, i.e. the one that's gone furthest along the points track, is going to get points with lesser values awarded to second and third. The main thing about this is, and then we'll get to this, there's a reason I'm stipulating this point, Ronan, is that the track does not reset after each fair.
No, God damn it, don't reset that track.
Don't reset that track. Do not reset it. You also get barrels, which allows you to make extra wine and send them on exports and sell them by submitting wines with the wine that you submit to the fair.
Don't reset the track.
Don't reset the track. And the experts, there's certain experts that want certain things. They want like a white wine, they want a wine of this quality from this region, and if you manage to do that, then you can get barrels from them. Everyone getting tired yet? Because I am. In addition,
You could just do it quicker. You make some wine, you sell some wine.
In addition, there are bonuses, and these bonuses give you...
They give you good stuff.
They give you good stuff. End of the game, your points are going to get rewarded for remaining wines, exported wines, and more stuff.
I'm going to give you a penny for every time you said wine so far.
It's a Lacerda game. It's considered one of his deeper ones. There's a lot to it. What can you say?
I need to ask you about your new tattoo that you've got right on your forehead.
What? I am Vital Lacerda's something or other.
I was going to say a heart with Vital in it. But, you had to go...
I've already accused him on Twitter of me paying his mortgage.
Is this the match that struck the flames of Lacerda for you recently?
No, it is not.
Oh.
I actually...
Now, try not to give away too much about any of his other games. Sean has hit Vital
I had hard, big time. The first one that I bought, well, apart from I owned CO2, which I've never played, and it was
Lucky Escape.
It was On Mars. On Mars was the first one that I sort of specifically...
Don't tell us anything about that.
I'm not going to tell anything, but On Mars was the one. You actually bought me a Lisboa as well. Actually, I had Lisboa because you bought it for me.
You're confused. You bought so many.
I know.
How many?
But I'd never played it.
How many do you know?
6, maybe 7.
You've gone from 2 to 7 in 2 months.
Yeah.
You had played none 2 months ago. How many have you played now?
I played Kanban.
Well, we don't include Kanban because I hate it.
It confused me.
Do you own Kanban?
No, I got rid of it.
Right.
Too
So
confusing.
knock that out of the way. From 2 months ago, how many new Vidals have you played?
5, I think.
It's become a thing, isn't
It
it?
has become a thing.
He's tickled you.
He has tickled
How
me.
many episodes of Pitsbit are we going to mention a Vital game for in
I
a row?
think pretty much for the next 5 in a row.
Because we've got Vinyas now. We know we've got Lisboa next time,
Lisboa's coming up next.
which you forced me to learn and play.
I'm probably going to force On Mars on you, Escape Plan.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to force CO2 because you're not looking forward to that at all.
No.
I'm making you, even if I have to do your moves for you while you're strapped
I'd
to a
rather
chair.
go and build the new nuclear plant in Essex than... Right. So this is the start of a trend. The start of we're going to be Vitalian for a while.
We are.
He integrates theme and mechanisms. This is what everyone says. This is the trick. You saying to me, he gets the theme first and then builds.
Yeah, he's one of those designers. He will get a theme and then he will design a game around that theme.
Now I need you to explain something to me.
Go.
Why do I hate the thought of any wine-themed game?
It's not the most interesting, given that I'm not a wine drinker. I can't stand the taste of the stuff. And
I don't mind drinking wine.
I
drink
don't.
wine.
I'm not one that finds that the process very interesting.
Oh God, no!
But
Nor of that. Nor of coffee.
one of my favourite films of all time is Sideways. I love that film.
It's really got nothing to do with the process of making wine.
They're
They're just in the wine country.
Yeah,
refusing to drink Merlot.
Murdo! I won't say what you said before that.
Jackass. You like a comedy that's set in wine country, California.
There you go. That's all, what more do you need?
I don't know. Why do I hate the idea of playing a wine-themed thematic game? I hate the idea.
Why do you hate
I like coffee. No coffee-themed games. I've never played one. I don't care. All food-themed games. I've discovered when we were thinking about this game. I started with wine. Then I went, oh, you got that coffee roaster now. I've got no interest in. And then I went, oh, any game about food almost puts me off.
Which is weird because it's almost your entire life.
Almost spend 21 hours a day feeding. So I can't understand. Where else would I maintain
I suppose
this?
games are your break away from that stuff.
For once, I can think about something else. Okay. So, Vinyos.
Yeah, like all of the recent Eagle Griffin releases for Lacerda, really, really nice overhaul by Ian O'Toole. Mm-hmm. He makes everything really clear. Iconography is brilliant. Might not always get on with the art style of the individual games, but I really do appreciate the simplicity that he adds to complex games.
Nice statement, which I will co-sign with you.
There you go.
Okay, so they've made it look nice. They've made it as clear as it can be for a game, which naturally with the Lacerda is complex.
Yep. So I know we've talked about this because Ronan hates it when people talk about Lacerda games and talk about simple decisions that spiral. But that's what a Lacerda game is.
Well, that's the gosh, tell you no, lad.
Gosh darn it, that's what we're going to talk about. So this is a typical Lacerda. You've got core decisions that seem on the surface quite simple, but you have a branching decisions to make from each core decision. So every decision has deep and lasting repercussions.
It's like listening to someone in a cult. It is. People within the cult think that...
I love you, Tal.
But people within the cult think that what you're saying makes sense. And everyone outside the cult is repulsed by the very thought of what you're saying. You're just saying the same as all those other people, and they didn't
To put
persuade
context, so if you were to get a vineyard, so you get a bonus for the regional cubes, you get a bonus for the pricing, you choose your colour of wine, which has repercussions when you're in the fair, which has repercussions when you are selling to an expert, which has repercussions when you're exporting. That one decision you've made is gonna echo in eternity.
Yeah, is it really? If you find yourself walking through a field in the golden sun. I love that film.
It's a great film.
Very much off my age. Okay. It's still the generic Vital conversation that doesn't mean anything unless you've played these games.
I know, but you can't...
You have to play them to understand people talking about them.
But you can't review it without talking about them. Because that is what the game is. That is very simple decision on the face of it. Like, yeah, you play this, or this. There's your choices. Oh, brilliant. But what happens
what are the
when
four
you do
actions
it?
in this bar?
Play a card to the board. Play a card to your tableau.
No, it's nothing to do with playing the card.
It does.
Anyway, that's for next
Anyway,
episode.
we'll talk about that later. 4 actions in Lisboa that lead to how many agonising
They don't make me
decisions.
think about that game now. Jesus God, right. Then, if it's all simple actions, which are simple decisions with deep repercussions, there are complaints that it takes longer to learn than to play.
Yeah, because you have to learn about the repercussions. You have to understand what they're doing. Otherwise, you'd be blindly going, I might as well have a vineyard from... Give me a Portuguese place, please.
Lisbon. Coimbra. Trying to think of other games.
They'd be like, give me a wine from Madeira. Brilliant, I've heard of
Porto.
Madeira. Porto, there you go. Give me a wine from Porto.
It would be port, I think.
It would be port.
Yeah.
And there is you
Only
actually
if it's
get
fortified,
little in the special version. You actually get little port bottles. Oh, it's so exciting! And then I've completely lost track of my point because
No, we didn't have a point because it's of the Cerda game where everyone gets lost trying to describe them and explain them.
that's it. Yeah, because you have to understand what you're doing. Otherwise, you are just picking in the dark.
But after you've taught it, do people have that moment of clarity, or do you have to play it?
We always play a learning game because we have no idea what we're doing in the first game.
If you were teaching other people, would you say, just start doing crap? I'll just tell you the 4 things you can do one of them and I'll tell you what they do. Or would you try and teach the whole lot?
I would teach the basics and I would offer advice throughout the game. I think that's the way to do it in the first game. Not like say you must do this because that's the prime move. Then that's going to get you the most points. But
You wouldn't know that.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But I'd say, well, if you do this, then that's going to happen later on in the game. But if you do this is going to happen later on in the game. I don't know which one of those is better, but they're your options and a little bit more about the options. I think it's one of those for your first game. If you've got somebody who does know it, they kind of got to sort of gently guide you through your options.
So anyone who's looking at Vineyards to play it, if they haven't got someone to teach them, you're looking at 4 or 5 hours just to learn it, out the box.
I think you do have to have a learning game, yeah, definitely, yeah.
To get taught by someone else, an hour-long teach?
Yeah, getting on that.
Followed by a game that you're kind of wading through and learning as you go. Mm-hmm. You have to accept that those are the barriers for the deeper games.
Yeah. They do come, though, with that sort of aura about them. A lot of people are frightened about Lacerda games. I was always terrified of Lacerda games because the learning curve was so
I wasn't
steep.
until I got the game out and started trying to learn it. I was like, it's just a game. I learn games all the time. Oh my days.
Have you ever seen people say, listen, I'd love to play that game, but I will never, ever touch it?
Yeah, of course.
Because people are terrified of them. And, and I think...
But to think logically about what we just said, give up 5 hours to play a game that's basically a throwaway game.
But then it becomes... Is it good enough? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? Is it good enough for that? And in terms of Vinhos, I do have some problems right now.
Hit me.
So
don't hit me. You're quite.
The reason I went to so much trouble to stress about the wine fair is because the wine fair in itself is a very convoluted affair, Ronan.
It is a fair.
Yeah, well, there you go. It adds faff, but at the same time being, you ready for it? Unfair. So, and that's because, again, why I laboured the point about the points staying the same. If you fall behind in the wine fair, it is very hard to come back, especially in a 2-player game, because the points,
track doesn't reset.
It doesn't reset, and the points discrepancy for finishing first and second in a 2-player game is quite wide, and it will almost guarantee you the game if you continue to be ahead in that track.
It's the Pulsar 2846 problem.
So I would almost take away the wine fair out of the game. I think the game's very interesting and add something else in. I know they had something in the original 2010 version. I think it was like a banking mechanism where you had to sort of generate money through it. I've never played that version. They took that one out for this one.
So did they change it that much?
They took a whole section out to make it streamlined.
To streamline it, not to make it streamlined.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, to streamline it more.
I could lose £4. It wouldn't make me streamlined.
So they took their £4 out of Vinhos and tried to make it more streamlined than it was. I think they took the wrong section. I think the wine fair is just such a
That suggests you couldn't imagine a section
It's almost
that's worse than the wine fair.
It's almost a game within a game.
Yeah.
Like you putting the wines into this fair. And yeah, that is almost my review of Vinhos, the deluxe edition, is that it was a good game that needed a little bit more maybe to it in terms of to just round off the game, but what you got was something that didn't work and just really upset us, really, because once I'm ahead or once Nat's ahead, and it's very hard to peg those points back unless it's a really, really close battle in the first place. But you're almost putting all your eggs
into one barrel,
one
vat.
So yeah, unless you have any more questions, Ronan,
would you play this again?
I would like to play it again, as most of my experiences are. I've played it 2 players only. I would like to play it with more players. I know Mr. Judy is interested in playing this one. So hopefully, once lockdown eases, etc., I'll get him round, play it 3 players, and then I shall decide whether to keep it.
Make him your other household for a weekend. You can do that now.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's just we'll literally just come in.
Yes.
So yeah, we shall try and drag him along. So yeah, that was Vinhos. To be concluded, but so far a little bit disappointing.
Marvellous. Reach for your phone.
Reach for my phone.
That is the second time in 3 episodes you've sung that song.
It is, and I've sang it wrong twice.
You're a lyrical master. We are going to give you a quick crowdfunding update.
Yeah.
What's been going down? Have you had anything delivered?
Have I had anything delivered? Now you're asking.
I'm asking you directly. Have you had anything delivered?
I had Endangered delivered, but that was sort of post crowdfunding. I got that one. That'll be featuring next episode.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think I have. I'm awaiting Smartphone Ink.
Did you kickstart the second one?
I got notification about that one.
I totes want to play that. Right, wait for it. I'll tell you what I got delivered before you jump in.
Go on in.
Project Elite.
Oh yeah, you sent the pictures.
I played the original one with the stinky minis.
And you really
loved it, but the minis were too. I literally couldn't buy it. The minis that bad, and I don't care about minis. They were that bad. I cared about them. I literally couldn't buy it. Got the Seymour one now. Wicked. Really looking forward to playing it. I've got it all out. I've punched it. I think tomorrow or the next day, depends on how hungover I am tomorrow, I'm going to do a video. And I'm really looking forward to diving back into that game. It just, getting out and going through the rules has really juiced me again.
Very good, very good. You got anything on the offing?
Currently backed. I'll tell you, or recently backed. I backed Journey of the Emperor.
I know nothing about it.
It's the little card game from the people who did Dark Domain.
Yes, that's right. And I think they refined it after we talked about it, but they had a ridiculous pledge system.
Oh, yeah.
975 pledge options.
You could be a lab rat. You could be a lab rat with 3 legs. You could be a lab rat knocking on the door who's trained as a sailor. You could be half a lab rat, but twice a donkey. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
I just backed for a copy of Journey of the Emperor because everything else was scary.
It looked quite interesting. It didn't.
Because Dark Domain was a bit different.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was a little bit of a twist, and it was relatively cheap.
Very good.
I tend to back more cheaper projects. Sean will tend to go for $200 ones. Anything you've currently backed?
I went for a $200 project, but I only backed it for $1. I backed Nemesis.
You are a fence sitter. You backed Nemesis.
I backed Nemesis for $1.
Yeah.
So I think predominantly because I want to get the nice stuff for Nemesis, the original.
You're not fussed about Lockdown?
I don't know that it's different enough. I've looked at it and it kind of looks probably a more polished version, but I'm really enjoying Nemesis, and I kind of lamented only backing it for the very base, and I wanted some of those nicer minis for the doors and stuff like that.
Oh my god, you're spending money on that. That is sad. So I have got Sean's copy of Nemesis in order to play, which will be happening soon.
You did a video for that, didn't you?
4 times I filmed a video for that.
Did it have any sound?
4 times it went wrong, not just for the sound, for different reasons. 4 different. That is literally 7 hours of my life. I'm never getting back. There will never be a Nemesis video. Let's move on from that. But I'm glad you've backed it, because that now gives me the chance. I should have probably done it for $1 myself, to play your copy of Nemesis, and then because Lockdown did tickle me, but I was like, I can't back it without having played Nemesis. I didn't get Nemesis played, so I never backed the. So now I might jump on your pound and do that business. Okay, I backed Bullet Heart.
Bullet Heart. Talk to me. I don't know anything about this one.
I've forgotten who did it. It's a head-to-head fighty thing where tokens come in and they form patterns on your board, kind of Tetrisy, but you can use special powers to move them and twist them. When they form patterns, they trigger your attacks, which then attacks the other player. So it's like a spatial puzzle thing, which is linked into a fighting each other theme. But what it got was, I first heard about it on Dukes of Dice from Alex. But
sounds horrific, by the way.
I know. I wasn't sure. So then I looked, and then I saw a couple of people mention it on Twitter. Then I looked more, and people were just saying how unique it was, how clever it was, how the fact that it sounds stupid, but that shape system and the way you use your skills actually does feel like you're using skills to combo to set up an attack and unleash it. And it kind of feels, strangely, it's so unthematic, it feels thematic.
Okay.
So I back Bullet Heart.
The other one that I've kind of quite excited about, I've got 25 days from the recording of this, is Age of Atlantis, which is a sort of civ building game where it's kind of borrowing the ones from Lords of Hellas, in that some of the creatures from Greek mythology are actually mechs. So they've got like Pegasus, but
the creature, and you were working with Poseidon. You're trying to sort of influence Poseidon, get his favour, building up your city, building up your tech tree, and at the same time repelling invaders. So the Romans and the Spanish will be invading from time to time, and you're using these really
tech
random
monsters to repel them.
For Atlantis.
It might not be those. Maybe it is. It's definitely the Romans. The Romans are definitely in there.
Spain was part of the empire, and before that was a bit of a backwater. So not convinced. Unless it's literally going back to Gladiator, and Maximus Decimus himself is piling in there. He was a Spaniard.
There you go.
Yeah, I sniffed it. Mm-hmm. Saw your tweet that you backed it, and went, I'd have to back it then. It wasn't one that I had to double up on.
I'm still sniffing. I'm not 100% because I can always withdraw. I've got 25 days to decide. But at the moment, I'm quite excited.
Kickstarter campaign, people hate people like you. My last one that I was about to back and then had to find my bank card, then we had to record, is Intrepid, which is set on board the International Space Station. It's fully co-op.
Yes.
You are an astronaut from a different country, and that will give you very different skills, and things will start to go wrong. Now, actually, in the base game, it's only that there's a meteor strike, but different types of meteor strikes. But apparently, it still leads to lots of variety of play. That was my main concern. I looked at it going, there's only one thing can go wrong here, or one series of things.
Yeah.
But apparently, it does trigger off in different ways, and the players are so asymmetric that making them combo together to solve the puzzle, which ones you have makes a real difference.
Yeah.
So that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be backing.
I had a good sniff at that. I'm glad you've backed it. No, I don't have to. So.
Good. You do that Atlantis one, and I'll do Intrepid, and then. And we mentioned Mind Clash. I'm now can't say that I've ever been sold on Mind Clash games yet. Still got that Anachrony you bought me to play, which is coming up soon in a few months' time in the list. But I think it's worth noting that they're doing that as a big release coming up. Anything else big coming up, you're aware of?
At the moment, you've got the Terraforming Mars big box out there. So
we've got the 3D stuff already.
Yeah. So if you haven't got the 3D stuff, I think it's probably well worth. If you like pimping up games, it's well worth it. Lots of bonus cards and what have you in there. It does look good. I'm tempted. Even though I've got some of the 3D stuff, I'm still tempted because theirs looks nicer than mine.
That's rubbish. That is the most ridiculous waste of money. You're not allowed to do that. I sent you a link. So Fallout. You guys might remember or not, probably not, that we reviewed it a couple of years ago, whenever when it came out, the FFG one, and we enjoyed the process of playing, but it was wonky.
The point system was just shocking.
Yeah. So they brought out one expansion, which just had more content, but didn't really change it much.
Mm-hmm.
They've announced another one that's coming soon called Atomic Bonds. I sent you the link, and it makes it full co-op.
Yeah, I think
gets rid of the worst bit of the game.
Yeah.
I think you need to get hold of both of those.
It doesn't look like it's going to be a big investment in money. It looks like it's just a deck of cards.
Pack.
So I think that is a definite buy.
Beautiful. Because try that again as a full.
I do really like the process of Fallout. I think it's a great process.
I agree with you. And having seen it done not so well in other games, I think my appreciation of it has actually risen in the last 2 years.
For sure.
Because you see a lot of games that are attempting to do what they did, Improving it is difficult. I've been cracking on my Arkham Horror campaign. We finished the first whole cycle. We played the last campaign, scenario twice, and failed it both times. But first, really badly, and the second time I was trying to make a solo bid for glory, but it wasn't happening. The other 3 died, and I was trying to cling on, but I got smashed up. Loads of fun. We are reconvening in a couple of days to start the second cycle, the Path to Carcosa, which Rachel and I played through again a few weeks ago and did horribly.
Is that the one that you played like 4 parts of it and then died, and Rachel wanted to do a do-over and you refused?
Yes,
because you're a terrible person.
I said there has to be some peril in it. If you just keep redoing until, you know... But it went down worse than I thought it was going to go down. I thought like she'd forget about it after a couple of days and just be like, let's go again. No, she's not happy at all. She's not happy. No, she liked the character.
She's not happy with you in general.
Yeah, I should have probably just gone, let's do a do-over. I accept that. She's not going to listen to this, but I have said sorry. I just thought it would add more. It would make it more exciting if it was like, no, if we die, we die. And then she clearly hasn't agreed as well with that. So we're going to have to find an agreement that adds some peril but does not as frustrating to her. But we will work that out.
Ronan, should we let these lovely people go as Mythic Battles is calling?
I can hear it.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, calling out my name.
Ronan.
Come and fight Sean and get annoyed with him when he rolls like a jammy.
Ronan, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
And we will catch you next time.
Pit stops are back.
Oh yeah, pit stops are back on the Dice Tower, and they're with a fancy new intro title. Doesn't look like a 2-year-old's done it anymore.
From Mike
Delicios.
Thank you, Mike.
Out. Thank you, Mike. And yeah, it doesn't
You're a
look
superstar.
like
There's more coming. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Doesn't look like my 2-year-old's put it together.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It makes us, as you said, we don't like the Red Stepchild anymore. The Dice Tower actually look like we belong there. If you want to see them and you don't want to get lost in the Dice Tower channel, subscribe to it anyway. But we have been adding them to our own YouTube channel, so you can just see them there. They're just called the Pit Stops on the Dice Tower. So I do add them up once they come out in the Dice Tower, so you can see them there if that's easier for you.
Very good. And
we are proud members of the Dice Tower Network.
As always.
Despite dissing Tom's reviews.
Despite that.
We're still riding his coattails.
It's good that he never listens to us. Go to the Dice Tower for gaming goodness galore. If you wish to download our episodes, we're on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, and
Smart Speaker. We might not be. I just thought I'd come up with
what else are we on?
Apple Podcasts, Antenna Pod,
wherever you get your downloads from. If you're listening to this, there's a good chance that you'll know where to get it.
We are contractually obliged. We're not going to know contract.
And if we are on
SoundCloud.
Yay, no. We are on social media. We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and we're on Twitter at GamePit Podcast.
You find different ways of saying that word every week.
I really do. It's interesting. Codpast. I haven't said Codpast. No, I have.
You have now.
That's 3 in a row. If you wish to email us, we're at thegamepitpodcast@gmail.com. I nearly said Codpast again.
Concentrate.
I had to really concentrate on that one.
At MailG. Spoonerisms galore.
And another great place to get hold of us is on our Board Game Geek Guild. Pop along there. And we really do enjoy hearing from people. And if you do have any questions you'd like us to address on the show, please send them in.
And if Sean and Matthew horribly shield you by putting your game up very high in the top 10 of 2019, you're willing to send us more messages as well.
What?
Hi, Al.
Yeah, thank you. This has been the longest outro in history. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you.
It's the heat. It's driving us mad.
We'll catch you next time. Music by E. Aaron.
Hot boy
Sweating in the sun, in the sun.
In the sun.